So I'd like to welcome you to the WVABLE special topic webinar, How to Use Stable Accounts. Our presenters for today's webinar is myself, Roxanne Clay. I'm the director of the WVABLE program, and then we have Thomas Hatch. Thomas is the operations manager for Stable Account Program, which is among the nation's largest and most widely used ABLE programs. He has a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and a Master's of Science in Business Administration, both degrees from San Diego State University. He began his career as a personal financial planner, but later moved to Ohio and transitioned to higher education, where he spent 17 years administering financial programs for the Ohio State University. Thomas joined the Ohio's Treasurer's Office in August 2017 to assist with the rapid expansion of the Stable Account Program. So Thomas and the Stable team, they stay busy traveling across the country, talking to families, disability organizations, service providers, other states, government agencies, and corporations about stable accounts. As for WVABLE, we're so appreciative of the support by the entire Stable team, and today I'm super excited to have Tom joining us. Tom has an incredible amount of knowledge and expertise and is always generous in sharing that with WVABLE and the rest of the partner states. So we have split today's webinar into three sections. I will start out by providing a very brief and high-level overview of WVABLE program. I'm going to talk about the benefits, some recent updates, and then I'm going to turn things over to Tom, and he is going to provide the walkthrough of the Stable Account online platform that includes numerous features, and he's going to demonstrate those features and functions. To start out with, in my overview, know that I do monthly webinars that are open to the public. They are 1 hour in length, so I go into much more detail about what I'll be covering over the next 10 minutes. WVABLE, though, it is a savings and investment account program that is administered by the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office. We're actually a sister program to the Smart 529 Education Savings, which most people are familiar. Where WVABLE is different, it is designed specifically for individuals with disabilities, allowing them to save without those funds jeopardizing their eligibility for federal public benefit programs, including supplemental security income, Medicaid, SNAP, and HUD. So over the next hour, you're going to hear me and Tom say WVABLE, ABLE, and STABLE. So know they're all the same. Of course, WVABLE is West Virginia's ABLE program. ABLE refers to the federal legislation called the ABLE Act that makes WVABLE possible, and STABLE is the name of the account that the individual will enroll and own. It's also the name of our program manager. This slide here is a screenshot of our WVABLE.com website. I always highlight this so that you know what our website looks like, of course, how you can get to the different tabs. You'll click on that hamburger stack at the top right menu, and then you'll see the drop-down menus. Tom's going to go over this with you as well, but I wanted to make sure that you knew what our website looks like. There are 40 other states across the nation who have ABLE programs. Some of those are national programs. Of course, Just Stable is a national program as well. Sometimes if you go out and Google WVABLE, our website may not come up first. So we want to make sure that you know what our website looks like. And this is also where you can go to take a deeper dive into the information that I'm sharing with you today, as well as Tom. Next slide. So what is WVABLE? West Virginia's ABLE plan. At the core of, what makes WVABLE possible is the federal legislation called the ABLE Act. ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. And at the core of the ABLE Act, it allows individuals with disabilities to save and invest without it jeopardizing their eligibility for SSI, Medicaid, SNAP, and HUD. Our program launched February the 9th of 2018, so we celebrated our 7th anniversary earlier this year, but technically we're still kind of in an infancy stage as it relates to ABLE programs. WVABLE, it is offered to the West Virginia resident through a partnership with the Ohio Stable program. So that's where Stable comes in. Know that Ohio was the first state in the nation to establish their Stable program. Once it was, they spent a lot of money and resources into establishing it. And once it was ready to launch, they opened it up and they invited other states to partner. So it is a national Stable partnership model. There are 12 states that make up the Stable program. It is one of the most widely used programs nationwide. We are really fortunate to be part of Stable. Stable and Vestwell, the program manager, they're always working to increase features and enhance the platforms to make using the accounts easy and more efficient for our account holders. And so that's another reason why we wanted to offer this special topic webinar today as an update from when we offered this back a few years back. But then to make sure that you are aware of all the features that will make using these accounts easier for you. WVABLE, it, as far as the additional benefits of what a WVABLE account does, is it provides financial independence for individuals with disabilities. They are the ones who actually own the account, even if they're not the ones actually managing it. They can have only one account. Additionally, ABLE accounts provide new investment opportunities that they didn't have before, where the earnings from the investments grow tax-free. Folks can spend these funds at any time for any expense that supports the beneficiary. There's also tax benefits. ABLE is in the IRS tax code as a new section 529A. So the same tax benefits they are offering for Smart 529 education savings here in West Virginia, you're getting those same tax benefits for a WVABLE account. Of course, we go into more detail about this in the longer presentations. And then when we talk about eligibility, know that we have an eligibility quiz at the website. But I always recommend for folks to go through what is listed on that page. So first, you do have to be a West Virginia resident, and then the onset of the disability would have had to have occurred before the age of 26. That is the onset of the symptoms, not the diagnosis. And this is the current requirement. Note that come January 1 of this year, that eligibility criteria will increase, in which the age of onset of disability will be 46. Okay, so that is going to allow 6 more million individuals nationwide who will be eligible for an ABLE account whose onset of disability occurred at a later age. That is a huge advancement for those individuals. And then you also have to have one of the following criteria, is that you are eligible or entitled to receive SSI or SSDI due to the disability or blindness. Notice I said entitled, because you do not have to be receiving SSI to be eligible for an ABLE account. You only have to have that disability that ultimately meets Social Security standards for disability, okay? Now, let's say that you are not sure if you are eligible for SSI benefits because of the disability, okay? Then you will go down the list, and do you have a condition that is listed on Social Security Administration's list of compassionate allowances conditions, okay? On our website, that is listed, it's hyperlinked, where it takes you directly to Social Security's website where that list is in alphabetical order. Let's say you don't find that condition listed, then you can do what's called self-certification. This is where a physician, whether it's the current treating physician or the physician that provided the initial diagnosis, they will self-certify the disability diagnosis and that it meets Social Security standards. We have a form on our website at the resources tab that you would print, take to the physician. They're going to complete that, and you're going to keep it on hand in case it's ever requested. But during the enrollment, you would check mark, what makes the individual eligible. You would then check mark the self-certification. Okay, next slide. Enrollment is relatively quick and easy. You go to WVABLE.com, you click open an account, and it takes you to the gateway page for enrolling in a stable account. For any folks that are on this webinar and you are representing an organization, we have another method for organizations who are managing multiple accounts to complete an online org ALR registration method. We have a separate tab on our website. for you to do that. And then we also have a special topic webinar that we held 2 weeks ago, and that webinar is available on demand, in which Tom provided a walkthrough of that online registration. As far as individual enrollment, there is, again, it takes approximately 20 minutes, less than that. And then for enrolling in any stable account, it does require a minimum opening deposit of $25. That's not a fee, that just creates the opening balance. Enrollment can be done by the individual with a disability, or if that is a child or an adult who doesn't have the capacity, or they may not want to do this by themselves. Then the law says that an authorized legal representative, and we refer to them as an ALR, they may do so on their behalf. And the individuals that you see listed under ALR have the legal authority to establish and manage an ABLE account. That includes an agent acting under a power of attorney, conservator legal guardian that's been approved by the courts, a spouse, a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, or a Social Security rep payee. So during the enrollment, you're going to identify your relationship as the ALR to that account beneficiary. Funding your account, Tom is going to provide the demonstrations of this in his portion, in linking a current checking or savings account to make EFT transfers, making check contributions, the ability to set up direct deposit of payroll earnings or Social Security benefits. And then we also have the gifting page. When funds are contributed into the stable account, individuals will determine how they want those funds allocated. And with a stable account, you have 5 options: the bank safe, which is 100% FDIC insured, and then 4 Vanguard mutual fund options that range from aggressive to conservative. On our website at the How It Works tab, you will see additional information about each of these options, including a performance at the bottom of the page that you can click and see how these investment options have been performing since the inception of the program. Spending funds from a WVABLE account, those funds should be used on what's called qualified disability expenses. And this is defined as an expense that relates to the disability, and it helps to maintain or improve that beneficiary's health, their independence, or quality of life. There is not a true list. They didn't want it to be restrictive, but what you see on the slide are spending categories in which the expense would fall under. I go into more detail about this in my longer presentations, but ultimately, any expense that supports the beneficiary, the individual with a disability, that would be considered a qualified disability expense. Getting money out of your account, again, Tom is going to demonstrate ways to do this, but that would include the linked checking or savings account, moving funds back over from that linked account. It includes requesting check to issue a check to a third party, to the ALR or to the beneficiary, and then the option for a stable Visa debit card to make withdrawals using that card. Important numbers and special considerations to keep in mind of what I have not already covered. Stable account does charge a $2.25 monthly maintenance fee, and that is actually automatically withdrawn on a quarterly basis of $6.75. There is an asset-based fee on the investment, the earnings portion only, and that is between 0.19 and 0.33%. For the year of 2025, okay, the annual contribution amount that may be made into an ABLE account is $19,000, and those funds can come from any source. We also have the ability for employed beneficiaries to contribute as part of Able to Work, and that would be employment earnings on top of that $19,000. If the beneficiary is indeed receiving SSI, supplemental security income, remember, you don't have to be receiving SSI in order to own an ABLE account, but if they are, or if the family plans to apply for SSI for that child with a disability when they're 18, okay, you want to be mindful that Social Security allows for up to $100,000 into the ABLE account. Anything above that starts counting towards the $2,000 asset limit. For the state of West Virginia, this is for our West Virginia taxpayers and WVABLE specifically. When they contribute into a WVABLE savings account, they may deduct their taxable income by that amount. Okay, that is specific for WVABLE. This is what our legislature put in place in 2019. Same, another key protection is that in 2019, they also put in law that there cannot be a Medicaid clawback in a stable account upon the passing of the beneficiary. The only exception is as required by federal requirements, and that would be the West Virginia State Recovery. Again, we cover this information in more detail in the 1-hour webinar. And now, quickly, when you want to locate program resources specific to WVABLE, this includes our on-demand webinars. We will be recording today's webinar, as mentioned, and we'll have it available. We have our website. It's the WVABLE page that is listed and included at the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office website. It's under the Citizens tab, and then you'll see WVABLE. This is what that page looks like. At the buttons at the bottom is where you navigate to find the upcoming events, including where you went to register for today's webinar. And then program resources is where we list our on-demand webinars as well. Newsletter sign up. If you, for all registered attendees, you will automatically be signed up to receive our monthly newsletter. That is an excellent way to stay on top of all program updates, enhancements, features at the state, the federal, and the program level. And then we do have a new trifold brochure that if you're with an organization and you're sharing this information, send an email to request printed copies of the brochure. Additionally, we have printed program flyers that you can download at the Program Resources tab as well. And then we also have a Facebook page in which we're very active and intentional in those posts, that they're educational in nature. So if you don't already follow that page, we highly recommend that you do so. And then at this time, I'm going to turn things over to Tom, and he is going to, this is the exciting part where he's going to provide this walkthrough and demonstration of the Stable Account online platform that includes many functions and features. So super excited to turn this over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Roxanne, and thank you to Treasurer Pack as well for allowing me to come on with you once again and to talk about some of the exciting features of how to work with these accounts and make them more beneficial to you. I thought we would start today on the WVABLE.com website that Roxanne had mentioned and show you a couple of items that can be beneficial to you. So as mentioned, in the top right corner, there is a menu, and if you expand that menu option, you will see other links to various resources and pages of the website. In the middle, we have a resource section, and the first link underneath the resource section is forms. So I will go there, and this forms section is very beneficial if you have any account-related forms that you want to use because maybe your online access is limited, or there are some other reasons why you may want to use a paper form. These are all downloadable in a PDF format, and you'll see them categorized: account setup, various account update options, entity forms. So for those that are organizations or entities, we have forms here if you want to enroll or change who's managing the account and so forth, transactions and investments, and then some rollover forms if you want to move money, for example, from a college savings account into your stable account. I will mention in the transactions and investments, we do have the contribution form, the first one on the list, and that is really important if you want to make a check contribution to the account. You would attach this form with the check, and so that's an important form to know about in this section. So I'll also point out underneath this menu section, we have this button that is highlighted in blue here for opening an account. As mentioned, this is to open an account for an individual. This is not if you are an organization. That is a separate link. And if you want to get to that link, the very far right menu item here is the ALR info and organizational ALRs, or authorized legal representatives. And when you click on that link, at the very top, you will have the registration button for those organizations. So this is where the organization would go to register for their account. In addition to opening an account, you also have a login button. So what we're going to do today is assume that the account has been opened, and you would come to this login button down below and click that, which would take you to this screen. This is what the login screen looks like. The credentials you would need are the email address you used during registration as the username, and the password that you had created during the registration process. And once those are input and you go to sign in, it will take you to the sign in page. And of course, I will have to refresh my screen here. And hope that this works for me. Okay, here we go. And so when you sign into the account, there's one of two pages that you will see. If you are managing more than one account at a time, this screen that we see here called the dashboard is the first screen that you will see. In this particular case, the individual who is managing these accounts, her name is Leslie. Up in the very top right corner, you'll see a little icon that looks like a picture with the name Leslie next to it. That is the name of the individual managing the account. And then on the dashboard, we have the two accounts that she is managing, one for a Jessica Jones and for a John Jones. We've set this up so that Leslie is the mother and is managing this as a parent, and these are her two children. If you are an organization that is managing many accounts, maybe 10 or 20 or 50 accounts, then this dashboard would be populated just like this with many more accounts as you scroll down. And anytime you want to manage an individual account, you scroll till you find that account. In this case, we'll select John and click on this rectangular shaped account button, and that will take you into what we call the overview page. Now, this overview page here, if you only have one account that you're managing, this is the first page that you'll come to once logging into the account. You won't see the dashboard. That is only for multiple accounts. So if you only manage one, you'll come directly into this overview page. On this page, there are these categories along the top, and we'll go through these in a little bit in more detail, but we have where you can see activity, documents, investments, transfers, and settings. And we'll go through some of the items on each of those. In addition, on this overview page, you have these 6 tiles, we call them tiles, in the center of your screen that give you a good visual picture of many of the important numbers that you may want to see. So the very first tile on the upper left is your total balance. Now, this account setup that I just did today has a $100 contribution pending. So because it hasn't been received, it's showing $0 in this balance. But once that $100 is processed, then this would be updated with that $100. Also, if that money is invested in any of the 4 investment options, then depending on the investment market activity, any day you come in, this number is going to have changed either higher or lower, depending on how the underlying investments performed. If you are in the bank safe or the savings option, then this number is likely only to change when you make a new contribution or at the end of each month when your interest payment is allocated or sent to your account. I want you to also notice that on each of these tiles, there are quick links at the bottom. On this balance tile, there is a quick link to activity, one to contributions, and one to direct deposit. You can also get access to these through these menus at the top, but if you want to get there faster, we have these quick links at the bottom of the tile. The middle top tile is your contribution history for 2025. And this will change, of course, each calendar year. So each January 1st, this will change. In this particular case, we keep track of two different numbers. Roxanne mentioned one of them. I'll kind of mention the other one in addition. So the top number that you're keeping track of is your standard contribution limit. So Roxanne mentioned that is currently during this year $19,000, and it's showing here with my pending contribution that I have $100 of that $19,000 contributed. And this will track this for you so that if you get close enough to that $19,000, you know how much more you have to put in. Once you hit the $19,000, then the system will no longer allow you to contribute to the account. In addition, if the beneficiary or account owner, in this case, John Jones here, is working, then he may make what we call able to work contributions, and that has its own separate limit, and we track that limit separately. These would be earnings from his job that he can put into the account, and we label those as able to work so that he can still save more and keep that $19,000 limit open to other types of contributions. So this level for this year is $15,060 in addition, up to that amount. It's either the greater of how much he earns up to that dollar amount. Just to let you know, this $15,000 limit for the able to work will change every year because of the numbers it's based upon. The standard contribution doesn't have to. It's a federal number that we receive, but the last couple years, due to inflation and so forth, that number has continued to adjust upwards. It will always change by a $1,000 increment. And below this, if you want to know more about able to work, there is a link that will take you out to the website specific page where you can learn more about able to work and how that operates. The final tile on the top right corner is where you can set a goal. This is not mandatory, but if it's something that you want to do and be able to track your goals, then it's an option that you have here. I have currently set a goal for $19,000 this year, but I'll show you how you can change this. And we have this little slide bar that will visually show you how much progress you've made towards that goal. But if we go to the quick link just below and hit Edit Goal, then it will show us what our current yearly goal is, but I can edit that goal. And just to show you how the slider bar works, maybe I will change this to $500. Maybe that's my goal for this year. I can save that. It has been updated. And then when I go back out to my overview page, you'll see that my goal's been updated and the slider bar now is further down the line because I've contributed $100 towards my $500 goal. So we have found just through means of psychology and so forth that when people make goals, they're more apt to make contributions and try to achieve that goal. And so this will give you an opportunity, especially if you're managing the account for yourself, to set that goal. We also have a quick link to savings boosters. I will show you a little bit later how that functions and operates. It's kind of a very unique, interesting way to contribute. On the bottom left of the tiles, unfortunately, there's no image here yet, but this will show you your investment allocation. So once this contribution comes in, this will be a pie chart that will show you what percentage you have invested in which of the options, either with the 4 investment options or the savings option. Below this, we have a quick link where you can go to make a contribution. So if you want to get to how to get there faster, you can use the quick link there. The middle bottom tile is for gifts. We do have a gifting page feature. And this is really a great item if you want to let people know that for special occasions, maybe a birthday or a holiday or a graduation, and somebody wants to give you a gift, they can always do that by sending some money directly to your stable account. I do want to mention that if you have set up your account recently or are going to set up your account recently or soon, this gifting page will automatically be created for you upon enrollment. If you set up your account more than, let's say, 6 months ago or so, you will need to go in and set up that gifting page yourself. But currently, any new accounts, this page is automatically created for you. And we'll go into that in just a minute as well. And then the bottom right tile of this screen is where you can sign up for the prepaid card. Now, the key here is that the prepaid card vendor is different from the vendor that manages this site. So when you go to sign up for a prepaid card, it's going to take you to a separate site. And on that site, you will need to create a new username and password and give them your personal information and so forth to sign up for the card. Also, when you first set up an account, this tile here and the quick link at the bottom that says sign up for a card will be grayed out for roughly about 20 days. And then it will become available for you to go out there and link and set up a card. It is possible to go out to the card site directly and sign up for a card as soon as you open your account, but just be aware that you won't get your card for a longer period of time than's normal because they need to verify that you have an account from our program manager, and usually that's about 20 days or so that they need to take to verify that. So under normal circumstances, once you're verified with them, then anytime you order a card, you'll usually get that within about 3 to 5 business days. They send them out pretty quick. So these are the main tiles you'll see, along with some of the quick links to get to different parts of the site. Let's go over a little bit of the functionality of some of those items that we talked about. So at the very top, underneath the activity tab, we have 2 subcategories. One is a summary, an account summary, and one is a transaction history. Again, because this is a demonstration account that doesn't have a lot of history on it, there's not a lot to see yet, but as an example, I will go into the transaction history and it will show you that I currently have 1 transaction pending. It's a contribution for $100. If there were more, there would be more listed here, of course. And at the top, you have the ability to download all of this history into Excel. Or you can filter through it on the screen too if you're looking for something very specific. So great utilization there. The summary just gives you a summary of a variety of information. And this would be your account balance, how much is your total balance, how much is available for you to withdraw, current activity, and this would show you your current pending contribution, recent activity, which we don't have any because this is a newer account, your account totals, so for this year of 2025, how much I've made in standard contributions, how much I've made in able to work contributions, any fees that have been assessed. These would be the account fees. This would not include the asset fees. Withdrawals that I've made, any change in market value. So again, market value change refers to investments going up and down. So what for the year has been my dollar gain or decline because of the investments. And then we also have a historical part to this. So since inception. Now, of course, I set that up this account today, so I don't have any history, but let's say you set up the account 5 years ago, then your total contributions for those 5 years would show here, your total withdrawals for those 5 years would show here, and any change in your market value for those 5 years would show here as well. Current cost basis and earnings, those are very technical investment terms, but cost basis is just the amount of money you've contributed, and earnings is any interest or capital gains distributions that you've received. So a little bit more technical there, but these really deal with how much you've put in and then how much you've earned on your account to create the total account value. And that's all under the summary. Under documents, we have statements, tax forms, and then other plan documents. So because none of these, if I clicked on this link, you're not going to see anything because the account is too new. But I will tell you a couple things that you should remember. So account statements will be put on the site quarterly. And the one thing that you need to understand as well is that the final account statement of the year, that would be as of December 31st of, in this case, 2025, that statement will not be a true quarterly statement, meaning it won't show activity from October 1st to December 31st. That statement will be an entire year summary. So each other statement through the year will only show you the activity for the last 3 months, but the final statement will show you activity for the whole entire calendar year. Any tax forms, there are 2 tax forms that could be available to you. One of them shows you how many contributions were added to your account during the year, and the other one shows you how many withdrawals were taken from the account during the year. They just show you totals. They don't give you a history or any accounting. These are required to file with the IRS, but I will tell you that those forms are basically just for information. In most senses, they're never going to affect your taxes that you have to file, unless possibly you spent some money that you withdrew on a non-qualified expense, which would be a totally different topic to address. But there's a possibility to have those 2 tax forms there. And then other plan documents, if there's anything else the plan needs to send to you, they can put it into the other plan documents section. Under investments, we have 3 different categories, either a summary, investment allocation, and exchanges. So let's talk about each of these real quick. On the summary, this will go through in a tile type format, a variety of different views of how you have your money invested. So in this particular one, again, I don't show a total balance yet because I have my pending transaction, but if I did, it would show $100 here. And then I've already selected for this $100 to be entirely invested into BankSafe. And so here on the 3rd tile over, it shows you that 100% of my money is in the BankSafe investment. If you invested in any of the other investment options, then they would be populated down below with various dollar amounts at this point. With investment allocation, this is where I select or show how I currently have my money invested or saved, and in the future, how I want to invest future contributions. So in this particular case, again, it shows that I have 100% of my money right now in the BankSafe option, and none of the other investment options have any money. For the future, I can put, and I'll just give you an example, maybe I want future contributions coming in to also be 100% BankSafe. So I can change that And down at the bottom, when I hit review, then I can go and save that setting. Here's the important thing to remember about this future contribution box. That will set how things will be invested for anything that is coming in automatically. So if you set up payroll direct deposit, or if you have deposits coming directly from the Social Security Administration, or for gifting, or for, I was thinking there might be one other that's escaping my mind, but anything, or like, yeah, so if you have like an automatic monthly contribution coming in, then this future investment box will tell our program manager how they want those monies invested that are coming in from those sources. So that's what the future investment box is used for. In addition, we have a plan rule under investments that twice a year now, it's not showing me, I can't make any changes right now, but I wanted to show you where it was. Twice a year, or 2 times a year, if I want to move money from any investment or savings option to a different investment or savings option, I can do that twice a year. So if, coming back to this investment allocation, I wanted to take all my money out of BankSafe and move it to, I don't know, let's just say growth option at the bottom, then I could go into this section here under exchanges and make that change. But I can only do that twice a year. So one other way that you can kind of help with that is with the future allocation. So if you want to put money into other options instead of moving money from a current option to another one, you can just have future monies come into the other option, a different option. And that's another way to get money into those other options without making an exchange, since the exchange can only be done twice a year. Under transfers, we have contributions, direct deposit, withdrawals, promotions, savings boosters, and managing of transfers. So we'll go through each of these, the ones that we can. Some of them are not really applicable to us at this point in time. But under contributions, you can see that we have, in this setup, a way to do the contributions electronically. Again, if you want to do a paper contribution, then you can go out and get the form, the check contribution form, fill that out, attach a check, send it in. But for this one, this is where we're moving money electronically from an attached bank account that we have. So here I have a Chase checking account already established with money there. And I can select to do a one-time contribution, or I can set up recurring contributions, like if I wanted to do it monthly or semi-annually or annually. In addition, if you don't see the account here, so this Chase checking I set up when I was enrolling in the account. If I don't see an account here that I want to use, you have a drop down where you can also add a new bank account if you want to add a new one or a different one. And frankly, the number of accounts you can add is pretty unlimited. We don't find people needing to add more than a couple at most, but if you wanted to add a different one, you could. And then once you would select, in this case, a one-time contribution, I would hit next. Then it will ask me a very important question. Is this contribution a standard or an able to work? And this is what helps us track on that first screen on the overview page how much is being contributed to each of those. And it reminds you here that I've already contributed $100 towards the $19,000, and I've contributed $0 towards the $15,060 for work. So in this case, I'll choose standard contribution. I can select next. It will give me then an option of where do I want to put this money and how much. So you have to at least add $1 to each investment style. That's just a note that's at the top. So let's say I wanted to add another $25 to my bank safe, but I also wanted to add some money to the growth, and I want to do $25 there. So I can do that. It shows you at the bottom the total amount that you're investing. In this case is $50. And then you'd have the two different funds that you're investing in. I could go to review and then ultimately process this transaction. I'm not going to do that at this point in time. But when you review, it will give you a summary, and then it will ask you to confirm. And when you confirm, then that contribution will be made. Instead, I will go back and go under direct deposit. So direct deposit, of course, is a great feature for employed individuals, or if you're receiving SSI or SSDI benefits, you could work with the Social Security Administration to have them send those benefits directly to your ABLE account if that's what you would like to do. So for direct deposit, to get started, I would click there, and it's going to ask me, first of all, which type of direct deposit do I want to set up? Do I want to set it up from the Social Security Administration or my employer payroll? One thing to note that is really important is currently the way that the system works is that you can only set up one of these at a time. So unfortunately, if you are wanting to set up employer payroll and Social Security, the system really only supports money coming from one at a time. So you'd have to decide which one. Also understand too, if you're not familiar, that from the Social Security Administration, typically they only allow you to select one account to send money to for direct deposit. So if you chose that with them, you are going to have to send the whole entire amount to the account. I don't believe that they allow you to only send part of it and then another part somewhere else. It's kind of an all or nothing. Many employers, however, will allow you to send payroll direct deposit to different accounts. So this could be one account, and then you could send a certain amount and then send others to a personal checking or personal savings or wherever you want to go. In this case, we'll say we're setting it up from the employer. So we'll go to our next screen. Then it has you attest or confirm that you will be using this feature to deposit money from your paycheck. And then there's a couple options here. The ones with the stars are required, and then we have one optional. So what is the employer's name? For this case, I'll just have fun and say the state of West Virginia. Let's say I'm a state employee. The phone number, and I'll just populate a made-up phone number here that we had, and then the employee's name. Now, in this case, the employee actually could be the mom, Leslie Jones, who's the authorized legal representative, or it could be John Jones if he was old enough and had a job on his own. So either one can deposit into this account. Let's say in this case, we're going to have mom because John's young. We're going to have mom directly deposit from her employment. And so we would select her, and we would select next, and the system may have some problems here, but it would take you to, it's going to kick me back out. It would take you to a review screen, and then after the review screen, it would actually give you a final screen of instructions. And I wish I could show you that instruction page, but maybe right now on this demonstration site, it's not allowing me to. But the instruction page will have the routing number and the account number that you will have to give to your employer, or that you'll have to give to the Social Security Administration, or input it on an online system at either of those locations to set up the direct deposit. But those instructions will be given to you with the routing number and the account number to use. In addition, we have withdrawals. Now, I'm going to have to explain this one because unfortunately I didn't think about this ahead of time in setting this up with Roxanne, that I'm not going to be able to show withdrawals right now because I don't have any money associated with this account. So I should have thought about that ahead of time. But with withdrawals, it's pretty simple. You can get to screens that will allow you to, again, select the bank account that's already on file or set up a new bank account that you want to send money to. It will allow you to set up for checks to be deposited, and you would set up the name of the person who the check's going to and their address information. Or if you have a card, it will allow you to select the card feature and send money to the card in whatever dollar amount you want to. And you will also be able to select from which fund, if you have more than one, which fund to take the money that you want to withdraw from. Promotions is not applicable to us. Sometimes if we had a promotion with a code, you could put the code in to get a special feature, but that's not something that we don't use. And then savings boosters, I'll go over real quick. This is very interesting. So this is one that is a play on the words of saving for a rainy day. So what you can do here is you can set up so that every time that it rains, or every time that there's a 50% chance or higher, according to, those who track those things, meteorologists and so forth, of rain in the zip code you choose, it will automatically pull money from a designated account into your stable account. So the three things you would need to populate here would be how much, minimum of $1. So maybe I'll just say $2. So every time there's a 50% chance or more of rain in my area, I wanted to take $2 from my account. And the zip code is the zip code. This is the one in Ohio, but whatever zip code you want to put in there. And then in this case, I'm going to select to have it taken from the Chase checking account I already have on file. And if I hit submit, that would be in the system. And every time the main services that track weather say, hey, in this zip code, there's a 50% chance or more of rain, it will make an automatic deposit into my account for me. Very interesting feature. All right. In managing transfers, this is something where you can manage recurring contributions. I have not set up one at this point, but if I wanted to, I could come in here and change it or alter it or cancel it. But this is where you could set up and manage recurring contributions to the account. Under settings, there's account information, beneficiary information, bank accounts, bill pay receipts, yearly goals, ABLE eligibility, all kinds of the information that you would need to know. I will go into account information here real quick because the one thing that I think is important here in case you ever need it is what is my full account number. So it's not shown until you click on this little icon that looks like an eyeball, but when you do, it will show you the entirety of your account number. This is important because on the check contribution forms, if you want to submit a check, it asks for that piece of information so they know which account to put the check in. So this is where you'd go to get your account number. It talks about the account type, the date it was set up, mailing address, and then you also have edit. So you can edit some pieces of information here, really only the mailing address, because the other ones are pretty set fields once they're input, but you can do that. And then you can also go into beneficiary information. I'm not going to click on all of these. Bank accounts, if you want to add a new bank account or change one. Bill pay recipients. So that's one where if you wanted to use the bill pay system, you could go in and add a new bill pay recipient. We're running lower on time, but I'll just show you what this looks like. So who do you want to make the check payable to? So just for fun, I'll say we're going to send something to Roxanne Clay for her great efforts on this webinar. I can put a memo on the check if I want to, so I could put what it's for or things like that. Be aware that this is only limited to 14 characters. I know sometimes people might want to put in the memo section like an account number for a bill that they're paying, like from the electric company or whatever, just be aware that there's 14 characters, so you can't add a super large amount of information to the memo field. The address where you want the check to be sent, state, zip code, whatever, and then you can save it. And you can add as many of these bill pay recipients as you want. And then when you go in to make a payment by check, it will have a drop-down menu for the ones you've already saved or used before. And then you can just select, and it will already have this information on hand. You put in how much money you want to send, where you want to send the money from, and it will issue the check to that individual or organization or company or whatever. So really great, useful feature. The final thing that we want to do right now, because we want to save a little bit of time for question and answers, is how do I add an additional account? So on this one, we already have the 2 accounts here. If I wanted to manage another one and add another one, how do I do that from this dashboard? And the answer to that is up in the right-hand corner, again, where we had Leslie's name and a drop-down menu. You'll see the options when we drop this down. We have profile that you can go to, security center, add account, help, or you can sign out of the account. So if you went to add account here, if I clicked on this, it would take me to a screen to add an additional account. The 2 important things about this is, one, when you do it this way, it only asks you for beneficiary information because you're just adding a new beneficiary account. So the process of adding an account is much shorter and faster than opening a whole account. And then secondly, as soon as it is finished, that account will now populate within this dashboard. And just like these accounts here for John and for Jessica, you'd see an additional rectangular box here with the next account for the individual that you just set up. So it's a very fast and easy way, and it's already attached to your profile that you're managing here. And that's super helpful. I will show you one final thing under profile because this is a newer feature, and I thought it's pretty cool. But for security purposes, we have now added to the system these account alerts. And these are, again, accessible under your profile, under the top right corner. And the 3 that we've done so far are withdrawal limits, payee added, and bank account added. So these are for security purposes, right? And they would send you out a text message. And I'll show you an example here. So withdraw over, it says 2,000. So I can enable this. And when I enable it, I can edit that amount. So let's say I want the amount to be $200. I can set that up. If there is any circumstance, either legitimate or otherwise, where more than $200 is withdrawn from this account, I will receive a text alert. Anytime, if this was enabled, anytime a new payee is added for the check feature, it's going to alert me about that through a text message. New payee was added to this account. If a new bank account was added and you have this enabled, it will tell you that a new bank account was just added. These are important because if somehow somebody unauthorized ever gets into your account, these are the likely things that they're going to try to do, right? Now, we hope this never happens, but at least this is something that you can set up as a security feature so that you will be notified via text message as soon as these things happen. We are looking at expanding this section with more options, but right now these are the 3 options that are available. And again, I'll emphasize that that is underneath the profile of the authorized legal representative at the top right corner. All right, due to time limits, and I apologize for going so long, but we have so many great things to share, I will go ahead and jump back out here and see if there's any questions. Well, let's get to the questions slide here. And Roxanne, will turn it back to her, and we can open this up for any possible questions that have either been asked in the chat or that anyone may want to ask in person. I appreciate for your time and your patience on all this information we're trying to get out to you.
This was great information, Tom. One quick question I want to ask is for the folks that are on this call that are with organizations. Of course, that last slide or the last demo that you showed us was, so this is for a parent that might have 2 children that has an account, or this might be an organization who has 15 accounts. They're all going to show up there. And of course, that's how you access them. For organizations that have completed the org ALR registration, so they have that different registration piece, they have access to features of producing reports. Do you have the ability to show us real quick how they can generate a report within what you have in front of you? Or is that something we can follow up with them later?
Yeah, at this point in time, I'd like to follow up on that later. That is an important piece, and definitely I think in the slide presentation that we'll make available publicly afterwards, we'll show you what some of those screens look like and where to access it. I'm just at this point, because I took a long time, I'm just hoping to answer more broad questions that might be available. But yes, there is in one of the drop-down menus a separate line that you can get access to for organizations for reporting.
Okay, perfect. So we will definitely follow up and provide screenshots of that to everyone that's on the call. And then Matthew, our IT expert, just put in the chat that everybody's microphones has been set to where you can unmute yourself now. So if you'd like to include a question in the chat box, or you can certainly unmute and then ask your question to Tom. We definitely welcome those at this time, because if you're thinking of a question, that probably means somebody else has the same question, or they haven't thought of it yet. So
I have a question about the accounts that it can be deposited into. So I've worked for Connecting Link. We're an organization. We're in the process of getting a payee that already has a Sable account established. All of our payees go into a collective account, all of their Social Security, and I've got a couple VA pensions that go in there as well. Is that something that we can, if we have to withdraw money from that, it can be deposited into that collective account, or does it have to be a separate bank account?
No, that's a great question, and that is entirely up to you. We have many organizations that have that exact same structure, and all you would need to do would be to input the information attached to their account of that bank account instruction. So what the routing number is and the account number of that singular account. And then once that's attached, then yes, you can move money back and forth between that account and this stable account. Now, unfortunately, if you're managing, let's say 5 people, and you're wanting to do that same structure with all 5, then you need to go in separately and add those same banking instructions individually for each of the 5 people. Well, we don't have, unfortunately, a way to just say, hey, auto-populate these banking instructions across these 5 people. But yes, that's totally doable. And then, of course, on your end, you would have all the accountings to substantiate what's happening.
Hey, I'd rather input that 5 or 10 times than have to set up 5 or 10 different bank accounts for that. So I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome.
any other questions? So let me ask you a couple since no one else is speaking up. I wrote this down as you were sharing and presenting. So the screen in which you are identifying the investment options and the percentage for future contributions. So if you don't have anything listed, okay, and is there a default, an automatic default option where funds will be contributed?
There is, yeah. The automatic default is always the bank safe option.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because primarily just for reasoning there, we're never wanting to put any individual's monies at risk without them selecting that option. And since the bank safe is a savings account that won't fluctuate in value, then that is always the default option if they have not selected.
Okay, that makes sense. And I know, the beauty of ABLE accounts is that contributions can come from any source. So an individual, family member, friend, they might mail in a check. They might use that form, but they may not have identified how they want that check funds allocated. So again, the default would be the bank safe. But then if for future contributions, you mentioned they do have it filled out, is a check also, the funds in a check, going to be allocated across the future investment options as well? That you had mentioned several contribution types that would populate within that investment options for future. So checks would probably be one of those two. Is that assumption correct?
Yeah, it could be. So the check contribution form does have the ability on the form to select your investments. And so that would be the best thing to do, would be to fill that in on the form. But if they don't fill it in on the form, then yes, whatever was listed in the future allocation would be how they would allocate the funds when it came in.
Okay, perfect. And then the bill pay recipient, I love that demonstration because I feel like for folks that are using these accounts for everyday use, if they have their Social Security benefit payment directly deposited in this account and they're using this account for everyday living, they already have all those populated, and you can continue to add bill pay recipients. They can use this easily to issue payments to cover their utilities, their rent, their mortgage, those kinds of things. So I love that feature. Do you want to real quickly, Tom, talk about the hold periods for the different types of contributions and withdrawals? Am I putting you on the spot here?
No, that's fine. Yeah, we
Okay.
can definitely do that. And one of the things that I wanted to point out too, and I don't think I did this when I was there, but when you set up direct deposit, we'll jump back into that one. You will notice, let's see, maybe it's getting started. Oh, now actually, you know what? It's not direct deposit. Yeah, hold times for most of these are up to 10 business days. Or actually, it's less than that for most of them. It can be five to 8 business days. The one I was trying to remember is for gifts. So on the gifting page, and I hadn't gone through a lot of this, but if I go in to manage my gifting page, it actually tells you at the very top, gift contributions aren't available for withdrawal for up to 10 business days. So this is the longest hold period for anything that comes in via an ACH or check contribution. As soon as it's cleared and received in good order, then it's like a 5 business day hold. The gifts are longer. And so it specifies on this page for a gift what the hold period is. And I hadn't shown this before, so I'll do this real quick. But on the gifting page, you can copy links or send texts or emails directly from the page, and that will send somebody the invitation to come join your page and make a contribution. You also have annual gifting limits. So if you want to limit how much you receive in gifts, and people may say, well, why would you ever want to limit what people are giving you in gifts? Well, part of it is if you already have money that you want to put in or other friends or family want to put in, you don't want to take up your whole $19,000 limit with gifts if you want to put in excess Social Security funds or something else into the accounts. There might be a reason why you want to limit how much of gifts you receive, and that can be easily edited here. On this page, I just put 10,000 for this particular example. And then also, come on, it didn't like when I did that. Let's get back out here again on the gifting page. So the other one is investment allocation. So I can, if I didn't want to use the future allocation box, come in just for the gifting feature and put in a like manner how I want the investment allocation. It's still done by the future box, but how much I want to go into when gifts come in.
The gifting feature is great. And just for those folks on the webinar today, Bestwell has enhanced that gifting feature and platform for folks to even make it easier to do reoccurring contributions, as Tom has described. So I think that's a wonderful feature too. And it's no cost. It's not like a GoFundMe where they're going to charge you each time that you use that feature. There's no cost to anyone for using the gifting.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I thought might be helpful to mention is we have the Stable Visa debit card that's available to anyone that has a stable account. And it makes accessing the funds quick and easy, but you do have to load it. And so when you request that card, and once you receive it, it's automatically loaded as an option for making a withdrawal. But Tom, what is the whole period that folks should always consider when moving those funds over to the Stable Visa card, and once those funds are available?
Yeah, so similar, it's going to be like a 3 to 5 business day. And I know sometimes it can be a little frustrating because, if you're working with a normal bank account, it's like, hey, I can move money instantaneously between my checking and my savings. Well, in this case, we have different vendors. And when you go in to transfer the money, they have to sell out of the investment, get the money back. It takes another day to move it to the card. And so there is some time that has to take place. And that's why we let people know that it takes a little bit of planning. So, if you want the money on a weekend, for example, you may want to start the process, on Monday, moving the money over. Or sometimes it may be a good idea to keep a little bit of excess limit on the card, just in case, the next contribution or withdrawal to the card, takes a little bit longer to get there. But typically 3 to 5 business days for it to get there.
Yeah, and it's probably safe to assume that if you're moving money from BankSafe over to the card, it's less time than from the investment options.
Correct. Yeah, they still have to withdraw from BankSafe and get it there, but it may be a day less, in a sense, but I would still use the same time frame.
Okay.
Just to be conservative, yeah.
Yeah. And for our West Virginia, account owners, that card is free. There is no fee for that. WVABLE actually picks up the $5 cardholder user fee on behalf of the beneficiary, regardless of how many cards you have. Of course, a parent can request the card. They can then request a card for the 19-year-old. So that would be a companion card. And then, of course, the organizations, you can also request the card. And we have a flyer on our website that provides more information for organizations who want to use the Stable Visa card for funds to use on behalf of the beneficiary. I've included in the chat that the recording for this webinar, additionally, the special topic we did 2 weeks ago specifically for organizations, where Tom provided a walkthrough of the online registration method. Those are that 2 weeks ago webinar is already posted. This webinar will be posted within a couple weeks, and I will follow up via email to all registered attendees with this recording link, and then also a PowerPoint slide deck for today's webinar, in which Tom is also going to share some screenshots that will include in that final PowerPoint, additionally for ways in which our organizations can generate those reports as well. And so I want to real quickly, I definitely don't want to overlook the fact that we have a special guest, Josh Reeser, who has been providing ASL interpretation during this whole last hour and 15 minutes. So thank you, Josh, for doing that. And then, of course, thank you again, Tom, for taking time out of your very busy schedule in preparation. And then, of course, in providing this incredibly valuable training for us. I've learned a lot today, and I hope that all the attendees has as well. We're only an email away if you have questions that you may think about later. Tom has shared the slide that includes the 1-800 number for stable account customer service. So if you have a question that is specific to management of the account, if you're logged out, you need help creating a new username login information, you can call Stable. And then they also have, we've included an email address that's specific for organizations. And And then WVABLE.com is the website where you go to log in to your account to get a deeper dive into what we've shared today as it relates to WVABLE program. Tom also kind of walked you through with some of the other tabs and the information that's there. Where you see a 304 number, that will always lead you to directly to WVABLE, myself at the State Treasurer's Office, and of course that is my email address. It is not uncommon that folks will call me, and then we will get stable customer service on the line to help mitigate things. And I love when that happens, because then it helps me to know, what the hiccups are, and then I can help to mitigate those in my presentations and when I talk to families and things. So again, thank you everyone for attending. Tom, thank you so much. You're always incredibly knowledgeable and your experience. So it's invaluable to us and we really appreciate it. So if we don't have any more questions, or Tom, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I think as a closing thought, again, I appreciate being here, for Roxanne inviting me and having this opportunity. I do think as a closing thought would be, if you found this webinar helpful, and maybe there's other topics that you would also find helpful, like going into more detail about, the card, or setting up the card, or managing the card, or more into how to use the gifting page, or what the person receiving the gifting request goes through in order to make the gift, or things of that nature, please reach out to Roxanne and let her know. We can certainly look at doing more of these webinars in the future. And if there's topics that would be meaningful to you, we'd love to address those for sure. So, yep, thank you, Roxanne.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And Tom and I have already talked about a few potential special topic webinars, fine-tuning or drilling a little bit deeper into the gifting page, the Visa card, those kinds of things, and even an enrollment walkthrough. So be on the lookout. And so, but again, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Tom. Thank you, Josh, and Matthew, our IT specialist. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us today.